Alright, we're going to jump into the living word. This is the second book of Moses, Exodus, and we're in chapter 1, verse 1. Israel multiplies in Egypt. Now these are the names of the sons of Israel who came to Egypt with Jacob. Each came with his household: Reuben, Simon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. All the descendants of Jacob were 70 people. Joseph was already in Egypt. Then Joseph died, and all his brothers, and all that generation. But the Israelites were prolific and increased greatly. They multiplied and became extremely strong, so that the land was filled with them. Now a new king arose over Egypt, who did not know Joseph, nor the history of his accomplishments. He said to his people, "Behold, the people of the sons of Israel are too many and too mighty for us. They greatly outnumber us. Come, let us deal shrewdly with them, so that they will not multiply, and in the event of war join our enemies and fight against us and escape from the land." So they set taskmasters over them to oppress them with hard labor, and the sons of Israel built Pithom and Ramesses as storage cities for Pharaoh. But the more Egyptians oppressed them, the more they multiplied and expanded, so that the Egyptians dreaded and were exasperated by the Israelites. And the Egyptians made the Israelites serve rigorously, forcing them into severe slavery. They made their lives bitter and hard labor in mortar, brick, and all kinds of field work, and all their labor was harsh and severe. Then the king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was named Shiphrah, beauty, and the other named Puah, splendor, "When you act as midwives to the Hebrew women and see them on the birth stool, if it is a son, you shall kill him, but if it is a daughter, she shall live." But the midwives feared God with profound reverence, and did not do so as the king of Egypt commanded, but they let the boy babies live. So the king of Egypt called for the midwives, and said to them, "Why have you done this thing, and allowed the boy babies to live?" The midwives answered Pharaoh, "Because the Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women. They are vigorous and give birth quickly, and their babies are born before the midwife can get to them." So God was good to the midwives, and the people of Israel multiplied and became very strong. And because the midwives feared God with profound reverence, he established families and households for them. Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, "Every son who is born to the Hebrews must be thrown into the Nile, but every daughter you shall keep alive." The birth of Moses. Now a man of the house of Levi, the priestly tribe, went and took his wife, a daughter of Levi. The woman conceived and gave birth to a son, and when she saw that she was especially beautiful and healthy, she hid him for 3 months to protect him from the Egyptians. When she could no longer hide him, she got him in a basket, like a chest, and made of papyrus reeds, and covered it with tar and pitch, making it waterproof. Then she put the child in it, and set it among the reeds by the bank of the Nile. And his sister Miriam stood some distance away to find out what would happen to him. Now the daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe at the Nile, and she together with her maidens walked along the river's bank. She saw the basket among the reeds, and sent her maid to get it, and she brought it to her. When she opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby was crying. And she took pity on him, and said, "This is one of the Hebrews' children." Then his sisters said to Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and get a wet nurse from the Hebrew women to serve the child for you?" and Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go ahead." So the girl went and called the child's mother. Then the Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this child away and nurse him for me, and I will give you your wages." So the woman took the child and nursed him. And the child grew, and she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she named him Moses, and said, "Because I drew him out of the water." One day, after Moses had grown into an adulthood, it happened that he went to his countrymen and looked with compassion at their hard labors. And he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his countrymen. He turned to look around, and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. He went out the next day and saw two Hebrew men fighting with each other, and he said to the aggressor, "Why are you striking your friend?" But the man said, "Who made you a prince and judge over us? Do you intend to kill me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and said, "Certainly this incident is known." Moses escapes to Midian. When Pharaoh heard about this matter, he tried to kill Moses. Then Moses fled from Pharaoh's presence and took refuge in the land of Midian, where he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water from the well where Moses was resting, and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. Then the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. Then he came to Reuel, Jethro, their father. He said, "How is it that you have come back so soon today?" They said, "An Egyptian saved us from the shepherds. He even drew water from the well for us, and he watered the flock." Then he said to his daughters, "Where is he? Why have you left the man behind? Invite him to have something to eat." Moses was willing to remain with the man, and he gave Moses his daughter Zipporah to be his wife. She gave birth to a son, and he named him Gershom, stranger, for he said, "I have been a stranger in a foreign land." Now it happened after a long time, about 40 years, that the king of Egypt died. And the children of Israel, Jacob, groaned and sighed because of the bondage, and they cried out, and their cry for help because of their bondage ascended to God. So God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Israel. God saw the sons of Israel and took notice of them and was concerned about them, knowing all, understanding all, remembering all. The burning bush. Now Moses was keeping the flock of Jethro, Reuel, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Oreb, Sinai, the mountain of God. The angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing flame, a fire from the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush was on fire, yet it was not consumed. So Moses said, "I must turn away from the flock and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned up." When the Lord saw that he had turned away from the flock to look, God called to him from the midst of the bush and said, "Moses, Moses." And he said, "Here I am." Then God said, "Do not come near. Take your sandals off your feet out of respect, because the place on which you are standing is holy ground." Then he said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." Then Moses hid his face, because he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, "I have, in fact, seen the affliction, the suffering, the desolation of my people who are in Egypt, and I have heard their cry because of their taskmasters, the oppressors, for I know their pain and suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand power of the Egyptians, and to bring them up from that land to a land that is good and spacious, to a land flowing with milk and honey, a land of plenty, to the place of Canaanite, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Now behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen how the Egyptians oppressed them." The mission of Moses. "Therefore come now, and I will send you to Pharaoh, and bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt." But Moses said to God, "Who am I, that I should go to Pharaoh, and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt?" And God said, Certainly I will be with you, and this shall be the sign to you that it is who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve and worship God at this mountain. Then Moses said to God, Behold, when I come to the Israelites and say to them, The God of your fathers, your ancestors, has sent me to you, and they say to me, What is his name? What shall I say to them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, You shall say this to the Israelites, I am has sent me to you. Then God also said to Moses, This is what you shall say to the Israelites, The Lord of God your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, Israel, has sent me to you. This is my name forever. This is my memorial name to all generations. Go gather the elders, the tribal leaders of Israel together, and say to them, The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, of Jacob, appeared to me, saying, I am indeed concerned about you and what has been done to you in Egypt. So I said, I will bring you up out of the suffering and oppression of Egypt to the land of the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, to a land flowing with milk and honey. The elders of the tribes will listen and pay attention to what you say, and you, with the elders of Israel, shall go to the king of Egypt, and you shall say to him, The Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. So now, please, we ask and we plead with you, let us go on a 3 days' journey into the wilderness, so that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go unless he is forced by a strong hand. So I'll reach out my hand and strike Egypt with my wonders, which I shall do in the midst of it. After that he will let you go, and I will grant this people favor and respect in the sight of the Egyptians. Therefore it shall be that when you go, you will not go empty-handed. But every woman shall insistently ask her neighbor and any woman who lives in her house for articles of silver and articles of gold and clothing you shall put on your sons and daughters. In this way you are to plunder the Egyptians, leaving bondage with great possessions that are rightfully yours. Alright, we'll go ahead and stop right there. We have begun Exodus. It's not as long as Genesis, and so we shall get through it a little quicker than Genesis. May God bless you, grant you peace and understanding. Faith cometh by hearing. In Jesus' name, God bless you. Amen.